MMA was initially marketed as no holds barred, with almost no rules. But over time, more and more rules have been implemented into MMA. This is a list of fights where a fighter was disqualified for breaking the rules, from illegal strikes to simply refusing to fight. These are disqualifications in MMA. One of the more rarely enforced rules in MMA is timidity. Timidity is where one fighter refuses to engage in the fight, usually by running away to avoid action, pulling guard over and over, or sometimes just being too scared to continue fighting.
That's a referee stoppage, yeah.
That is a referee stoppage.
There haven't been a lot of disqualifications via timidity in MMA, but it has happened on a few occasions. Once against the brother of UFC vet Matt Serra, Nick Serra.
If you don't stand up, you're disqualified.
Nick Serra gassed early in the fight and attempted to pull guard on his opponent multiple times with no luck.
Makowski, the younger fighter, senses it, and he walks away from Nick Serra.
Well, Serra, in desperation attempt, you said, how does he get to the ground? He jumped guard from about 5 feet away.
Eventually, Serra refused to stand up and fight and was subsequently disqualified.
Behind the knee again, and Serra just falling down.
The referee's already warned him.
If you don't stand up, you're disqualified.
You hear the referee.
Stand up, you're disqualified.
Serra cannot get to his feet. This is over.
David Ozdoba did a lot of running from his opponent in his one and only MMA fight, and understandably so. His opponent was Lithuanian strongman Robert Bernicka. Rakhman Makaziev refused to stand back up after being taken down at ACB 48.
To what your strengths are and still build upon your weaknesses.
Taking a long time to get to his feet.
Yeah, that's a bad sign. He had the guy, Kanikov on the ground position.
I think he said something there that the referee might be looking to give him a yellow card for timidity. We do have the yellow card system here in ACB, so that would be a point deduction.
Wow.
He's talking to his corner.
That's a
as well.
referee
That's
stoppage,
it.
yeah.
That is a referee stoppage.
After clocking over 2 miles on his Fitbit, Bruno Makulu was disqualified for running away too much.
But again, you need two willing participants, and Henry Kodipe certainly is. Bobby, he's stopping the fight
to inactivity, and that's going to be it.
Another way of being disqualified is the douche rule, also known as unsportsmanlike conduct.
That was totally illegal. He was kicking a down fighter, and he kept going.
There aren't many instances of fighters being DQ'd for breaking this rule, but it has happened recently at a TKO event in Canada. Stronimir Gavrilovic fought Joe Valle in the main event at TKO 37. Gavrilovic had the fight all but won, but after he knocked out Joe Valle, he continued to punch him well after the fight was called off and the referee had to pry him off his unconscious opponent.
Hey, what is going on here? Gavrilovic taken down by the referee.
Gavrilovic was disqualified for his actions, and Valle was declared the winner.
The winner by disqualification due to unsportsmanlike conduct.
Another example of a fighter being disqualified for exuding high levels of douchiness was Mike Kyle against Brian Olsen at WEC 20.
That was not good. Oh, and now he's still fighting. That was not good. That was totally illegal. He was kicking a down fighter, and he kept going.
Kyle committed 2 offenses that led to a quick disqualification loss. First, he hit his opponent Brian Olsen with an illegal kick. But when the referee attempted to halt the bout, Kyle continued to pummel Olsen well after the fight was called off.
Well, then he kept striking even after the referees were holding him.
Kyle was quickly DQ'd for an illegal kick plus strikes after the bell. Dirty Bob Schreiber was also disqualified for not only landing an illegal strike, but for doing it after the bell.
Schreiber grabbing the ropes. Schreiber, oh no! Schreiber throwing an axe kick.
Kicking or kneeing an opponent in the head while they're on the ground is a foul.
Absolutely 100% illegal.
This rule has been violated several times in the UFC and other organizations that follow the unified rules of MMA. Usually when this happens, a point is deducted or the fight is declared a no contest. But there are times when a fighter is disqualified for the action if the foul is considered intentional. Former UFC middleweight champion Anderson Silva was disqualified for breaking this rule against Yushin Okami in 2006. Okami was able to take Silva down, but was promptly KO'd when Silva landed an illegal kick, giving Okami the DQ win.
Due to an illegal kick, Anderson Silva has been disqualified.
This rule is heavily debated, with some people believing knees and kicks should be allowed to grounded opponents to prevent stalling. A good example of this is Konstantin Glukov versus Mikhail Gazayev. To avoid a potential kick in the head, Gazayev simply stayed on his knees throughout the fight, refusing to stand up. Gazayev was eventually able to trick his opponent into throwing a kick while he was still grounded, giving him the DQ victory. Of all the ways to win in MMA, getting hit so hard in the groin that you can't continue has got to be among the worst.
Oh, knee to the groin.
There have been hundreds of accidental groin shots in MMA, but very rarely does a fighter actually get disqualified for it.
Oh my lord, did you see that?
Tatsuya Kawajiri was attempting to defend his Shudo title in 2006, but after a stray kick from Joaquin Hansen, Kawajiri dropped like a sack of potatoes and was given the DQ victory. Eric Prindle tried to be fancy and threw an axe kick at his grounded opponent.
Axe kick, and that's in the groin, and time called.
Prindle was DQ'd for the low blow. Quinton Rampage Jackson was also disqualified for a low blow in the past at Pride 18 against Tajiro Matsui.
The boxing stance. Oh, knee to the groin right away. Oh, how unfortunate.
The groin shot seemed accidental, but for whatever reason, it wasn't declared a no contest, but instead a DQ win for Matsui.
He's in bad shape. Yeah, he's in bad shape here.
Japanese fighter Shinya Aoki has won twice via disqualification for low blows, once by UFC vet George Soteropoulos.
第2ラウンドです。今すごい音になりましたね。ノーブローに入ってしまいました。
And a few honorable mentions. Keith Haring was disqualified before his fight even began.
Oula! Et Nakaoki. Oula!
Voilà. J'ai dit, c'est pas le même niveau.
John Jones has yet to be disqualified for his numerous eye pokes, but was instantly DQ'd for delivering an elbow at the wrong angle.
Due to intentional elbows, there's been a disqualification of Johnny Bones Jones.
Vyacheslav Dotsik has been disqualified multiple times in his fight career, once for grabbing his opponent's testicles. Once for eye gouging. And once for showboating too much. Dotsik didn't take too kindly to any of these calls. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe.